Wow, guys, Trump's VA secretary just destroyed Caitlin Collins live on her own show. You guys got to check this video out.
Here, you served in the Navy and the Air Force. How would you have felt if information like this was talked about in an unclassified group chat? If a Navy fighter pilot, is in the air?
Well, I think the one thing, Caitlin, it's good to be with you tonight. I think the president and those involved in the chat, which I was not involved in the chat, have explained that. I trust the president's opinion on this. I trust what's been going on. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. My opinion is that my job is to take care of veterans in this country as they come out of service, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Really quick, guys, you're about to notice he's a person that refuses to let Caitlin Collins put words in her mouth. You guys are going to be shocked. You guys got to just keep watching. Just keep watching.
We heard from some of your former colleagues up on the Hill today, some Republicans who said they don't like how the administration is handling this, that they're kind of tying themselves in knots by saying it wasn't classified information. Do you believe that a mistake was made here, though, to have this conversation, to add a reporter, and to have it on an unsupported, classified group setting?
Caitlin, as I've just told you, I've just answered the question. I wasn't part of it. And, I'm not going to speculate more than what the president's already talked about and those who've been involved have talked about. But we'd love to talk about the veterans.
Yeah, and I do have questions about the veterans. But given what we saw with the group chat and how this was used, you are a member of the cabinet. You obviously know these other members, several of them who were in there. Is this typical for the cabinet to have conversations over Signal? Is this something that you use?
Well, Caitlin, since you undoubtedly do not want to talk about the VA, I have a question as VA Secretary. As Cabinet, I want to ask you, because I've been curious about this, because my job is to take care of veterans, and I would like to know why CNN is hostile to veterans, especially one in Florida, where you just had a $5 million defamation suit taking offense at a veteran who was trying to help people. In fact, one of your employees actually said, "We're going to nail him." I have a question for you, Caitlin. Is that employee still employed? Are you really concerned about veterans? So if we don't want to talk about veterans now, you want to talk about everything else, I'd like to hear from CNN as the veteran cabinet secretary, why CNN seems to have a problem with veterans.
I think the thing with Caitlin Collins is she just look at her face. She just belongs on The View. She has a problem with everybody that isn't a Democrat or that is not willing to follow her narrative. She's just always looking for that gotcha moment, and she fails miserably every time, guys.
Well, Mr. Secretary, respectfully, my question was about whether or not you as a member of the cabinet use this. And respectfully, I'm conducting the investigation. And I do have a lot of questions for you on Veterans Affairs, but I don't think it would be unwarranted to ask
what you want to do is
talk about a
subject that I've already answered. And if you want to continue this like this, that's fine. But there are VA employees who are working very hard. There are veterans who get their care from the VA and they get their benefits from the VA. And it does me no good to speculate on something that I've already asked and answered. So I've asked and answered your question. Why don't you answer mine? Are you still?
She just doesn't know when to give up, guys. She's been warned numerous amount of times. First of all, with the defamation suit, she's been warned. She just doesn't know when to give up. She's just so rude. He already said he wasn't involved in the leak, so she just wants to keep digging and throwing daggers at him, hoping to get a gotcha moment. She's always, I'm sorry to say the same thing, but she's hoping to get that moment, guys. She's just hoping for it.
Is this person still employed who said they were going to nail one of my veterans, who you had to do a $5 million award from a jury because of defamation, and then you settled the case? Answer my question.
Respectfully, sir, I'm asking the questions here, and I have no involvement in referencing there. But if you don't want to answer the question about whether or not it's commonplace for secretaries in the cabinet to use Signal, you are running the Veterans Affairs, and we do have a lot of questions about that because there's been big things happening. You and I were just talking about this before this interview started, and I told you I'd get to these questions about Veterans Affairs. You don't want to answer that one. We'll talk about what the VA did announce, that they were suspending $2 billion in planned contracts. That is a number that was quickly changed, and there were 300 contracts that had initially been labeled as wasteful that were removed from that list of cuts. Secretary Collins, why were those contracts removed from that?
Well, number one, you were dealing with a leaked document that was pre-decisional and not had been made in the actual end of the day amount. We had over 1.8 billion. It was part of that, actually 500 million that were roughly real-time cuts. The articles that went out, and what I've been fighting for the last 6 weeks while I've been on the job, is innuendo and rumor and leaking, designed really to scare veterans and scare veteran employees. So we're continuing our cuts. The number really didn't change. The problem is the press decided to run with leaked documents that were pre-decisional. And so you get a bad result when you don't wait to actually see what the end result's going to be.
Well, I'm a little confused about the process because it was on February 26th that the VA announced the plans to save $2 billion. And then on March 3rd, it was the department that announced revised plans. So isn't it the Department of Veterans Affairs who announced that initially?
No, I think what we had to understand is there's about 1.8 billion, almost $2 billion in cuts that were found. Some have already been, spent that are just going to not go forward. Others in about the months that we've had already that are saving in this year. So really the numbers are not changed. Again, it goes back to a pre-decisional issue in which others pointed this has already been made, and those decisions were still in the process of being made.
Oh, okay, but it was the Veterans Affairs Department that announced that initially, right?
Exactly. I mean, and I've just answered that, Caitlin. I'm not sure how I can help you any more on that. The decisions were made and still in process when the decisions were made that we actually did, and it was about 1.8 billion. The actual numbers and where they found it out, which contracts were still in the decisional process.
Trump's VA secretary here, I can't say what I want to say because YouTube will censor me, but Trump's VA secretary here is like putting LeBron James in the NBA in the 40s, the 50s. Having him go out there and just ball out. Because this is what he's doing to Caitlin Collins right now. Look at her face every time I pause this video. He's like a sad kid that didn't get that lollipop, man. You're not getting it out of him. You're just not going to get it. Let's keep going, man.
Okay, just asking because it was put out there and then changed, and so people were curious about why. With the Department of Veterans Affairs overall, it's been planning to cut about 80,000 jobs. You've talked about this. We've seen some Republicans, including Lindsey Graham up on Capitol Hill, say they believe Congress should have been consulted about that before they read about it. Is that something that you'll consult Congress on, where you're making those cuts and what that's going to look like?
Yeah, okay. That's a great question. Thank you for that, because we've had a lot of discussion about that. And remember, when Donald Trump was elected, it was generational change on D.C. as far as scope and size of government. And this is a government-wide reduction in force that we're looking at. And each place had a goal to shoot for that was, say, can you get there? And it's a goal. That's exactly what it is. 15%, you get the 80,000 number. We're going through a process right now of working with our career employees, working with our politicals, and working with the Hill. We've been briefing the Hill as we go forward. In fact, I'll actually be with the Senate pretty soon, and we're going to do that in a whole group setting. We've been doing it with individual members in the House as well on ideas that we have. Now, if we get to that number, that will be something that we take into account that will actually improve our service to our veterans and our healthcare side and our benefit side. We've increased, just the previous administration, through tens of billions of dollars at this department and tens of thousands of employees. And Caitlin, what was really concerning to me was our metrics never improved. In fact, for the most part, they didn't improve at all, and our disability claims actually skyrocketed. Our backlog skyrocketed. So money and people are not the issue. So what we're looking at here is, are we spending the money properly, and are we having the right amount of employees, or do we have just too much bureaucracy? And I think that's the big key that we're looking at right now.
Is Elon Musk playing a role, or how much of a role is he playing in deciding what those cuts will look like?
Elon Musk hasn't been at the VA. We've got VA employees who are our DOJ liaisons, and they've been helping us look through contracts and look through organizational structure. I have to share just with you, interestingly enough, for veterans out there who, look, the VA has been the whipping post for a long time. Everybody likes to complain about the VA, but when you try and fix it, then everybody says, oh, you can't, you got to slow down. Well, I'm not accepting that, because that means that we accept a status quo that's not helping veterans. And so we're looking at this aspect that when I first got here, we have over 460,000 employees. And the reason I say it that way is when I asked my human resources person to let's see how many employees we have and where they are, we didn't have a human resource system that could actually give me those numbers. So we're fighting to make sure that we're giving the American people what they have deserved, and that's a VA that is responsive to a veteran and give the tools to do that with. And we'll accept that help in any way possible, because our folks are working very hard to make it happen.
Man, like Trump said, Caitlin, you're a rude and nasty, nasty person. Everybody knows that you lost your credibility. You just need to go away at this point. I don't know who likes seeing you on air. I don't know why they keep cutting you a check. The ratings are going low. Like they're hitting rock bottom at this point. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Please hit the comment section down below. Let me know what you're feeling. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And as always, let me know what to react to. We're out.